Hello, I am CyklopzGV, and I am doing Elemental Gearbolt on the PS1. It is a light gun game, so please don't mind the clicks, because I am using an actual light gun. This game was released by Working Designs. A lot of people know them for their work such as Arc the Lad, Lunar, Silver Star Story, Gungrazer, I think they did. Anyway. So we're just going to get right into it. So, here we go. So the story, as it all takes place, I am what they call a holy gun. Oh, wow. Hold on. False start. My game crashed. That has never happened before. That's new. At least it happened a few seconds into the run. Yay, marathons! Yeah! So, fun fact, while practicing for the marathon, I did set a new world record yesterday. So that was cool. Working Designs presents... Okay. Once more, with gusto. Hey, we made it into the first level. There we go. Alright, so, as the story goes, my character is what's known as a holy gun. So we are sieging a kingdom. The kingdom is run by the Prince Belkane, and he has a defense system for his kingdom called the Network. The Network is actually comprised of people, I think it's 5 or 6, who had their brains removed from their body, essentially, and wired into this machine, the Network, and they are used as a defense for the kingdom. But he started using them to wage war. They don't appreciate it. They think that nothing but destruction and ruin can come from it, and they don't like being used like that. It's not what they were sacrificed for. So, they activate the weapons called holy guns, which is actually it's more or less a suit. It was pulled from the future, 400 years in the future, actually. You know, because, I don't know, video game logic. And it inhabits people. So, my character is actually a childhood friend of Belkane's, who joined the Resistance to combat his tyranny, and actually died in the Resistance, her and her sister. The Holy Gun is riding her corpse. So, yeah, my character is actually dead, and is more or less an automaton at this point. And that's the story. So, good stuff, right? So you might be asking yourself, this is a on-the-rails light gun game. How the heck do you speedrun an on-the-rails light gun game? The answer to that is very, very carefully. So this game has RPG elements to it. Look at that chalice. My score is very important to the run. Get through this boss fight here. There we go. So the score equates to experience at the end of each stage. If you look in the top or left, under my score it says level 1. Yeah, I got all 20 fairies. Nice. And on this screen I can trade my score for experience. the higher level I am, the more hits I can take, and the stronger my holy gun is. The strength of the holy gun doesn't really matter for normal enemies. It's boss fights where it matters. So the more damage you can crank out, the faster you can kill bosses, you get the gist. So maximum level is 16. By the time I get to the final stage, I want to be no less than level 10. 12 would be optimal. 11 is most common. The game can be beaten at level 1 though if you're good enough. Which I am not. So I collect these little hidden chalices that are worth 50,000 points apiece. There's 12 of them in the game, and in order to uncover them, they have to be shot with a specific elemental corresponding to the chalice. There's 3 elements in the lower left-hand corner of the screen. You can see my, essentially my gun loadout. Right now it's a little flame, it's called the Blaze Phoenix. It works like a magnum slug, essentially. It shoots through enemies, it's very powerful. It's what I use for the entire run. There's also the Thunder Tiger, which is a scatter shot, and the Water Snake, which is a rapid shot. The Water Snake is very weak, and it's hard to keep your combo going with it. Same with the Thunder Tiger, so we don't use it. It's better to be able to shoot through enemies and shoot them down in one hit. That way I can keep track of my combo. So my combo of course gives me a multiplier. I want to keep my multiplier as long as I can. The longer I keep it, the higher my score gets, the more experience I get, etc, etc. Take a health refill there. There we go. There's 6 stages in total. Hopefully, I don't die at all. There are lives. Every time you lose a life, you gain a level, because the game likes to send you back into the level that you lost in, a little stronger than you were before. Sorry if the game sound is quiet. It's a very quiet game. There's really nothing I can do about it. So I do apologize if it is quiet for folks. The soundtrack is orchestrated, but it's very low orchestrated. It's meant to be one of those games that while you're playing it in your living room or whatever, you crank the volume on. Yeah, you can't rapid fire in this game. If I keep pulling the trigger, I would get a little click, click, click in between shots, which actually stalls me from being able to shoot again for a moment. So you have to time your shots out. You'll probably see me click once or twice. Instead of the orange shot appearing on an enemy, a little blue cross will appear on the enemy instead to let me know that I'm pulling the trigger too fast. So it's not a button spam game either. There we go. Yeah, the artist who did this game also did the work for, I think, some popular animes such as Queen Esmeralda, Captain Harlock, Galaxy Express 999, etc., etc. Alright, stage 3. So those little orbs that I keep popping, they're shooting out coins whenever they break with the Phoenix shot. If you pop a coin orb and then you shoot directly above it right afterwards, you can usually collect all coins before they have a chance to fall and scatter. So the screen progresses once all enemies on the screen that need to be defeated have been defeated. Not all enemies need to be defeated per screen. Some enemies won't actually do any kind of damage to you. They're more or less just there to distract you from other enemies. But it's nice if you can kill them all the same, because they're still worth points. And they help you to build your combo meter. Alright, let's see if I can get all 3 of these fairy orbs. Got it. Nice. That last fairy orb in that string of 3 is very easy to miss. So if you collect all fairies in a stage, you get an extra 100,000 points at the end of the stage. So we try to collect all the fairies that we can as in the first few stages. After stage 3, the fairies are not as important. We don't collect, we only collect 17 of them in stage 4, which we'll get to, because it actually wastes time to try to collect the last 3. There we go. Got the chalice, which also heals me. Collect that fairy. Collect that one. These would be the last 2. Alright, that's all the fairies. One more chalice, and then we have the boss. I'm level 7 right now in this stage, so not exactly where I want to be, but that's okay. We're still plenty viable for a good run. I would prefer to be level 8 or 9 by now. But I took a couple extra hits in the previous stage. This is where levels really make the difference. With a higher level, I can kill this boss a little quicker, get him about 1 or 2 cycles sooner. I still got him before he did his melee attacks. That's not bad. So, the game is very fun if you can get your hands on a copy of it. Because it's a Working Designs title, it's become a collector's item, like every game ever made by Working Designs, so it's going to set you back about, I'd say maybe $100, $150 a copy. For a complete copy if you can find it. I played this a lot as a kid, so this is on the PlayStation 1. It does have controller support, so if anyone's interested in speedrunning it, you can use emulator. We do allow them. I don't know how easy or difficult the game is with a controller instead. I've never not used the gun. So this stage I don't worry about collecting all the fairies. I still, of course, want as many as I can out of the 20. But I don't collect the last 3 so it's not a big deal. So this stage is... there's not really a terrible risk of dying, but it is one of the harder stages to run through because the boss is very long and tedious. When you die in this game, there are no checkpoints. There's the chalice. So if you die in a level, you go back to the very beginning of the level. So it's in my best interest not to die. A death on this boss would cost me about 4 minutes. Any death in the game is costly, but this level, because of how long the boss takes, it's one of the worst levels to die in. So hopefully that won't happen. I mean, I'm level 9, so I have plenty of health to go. As long as I don't make a bunch of dumb mistakes during the boss fight, I should have plenty of health to tank any hits that I need to. So this is a relatively new speedrun. I had the leaderboard created for it about a month or two ago, because I wanted to run it, and a leaderboard didn't exist for it, so I am the only runner. So I guess by default, I technically hold all world records. I'm not really sure how much of an accomplishment that is, though, when you're the only person competing. I have to make sure that I gun down these enemies and the boss's fire shots, too. The enemies are to distract you from the boss's shots. The boss is this giant floating city, which is why it takes so long to fight it, is you have to gun down a whole city. Or a flying fortress, whatever you want to call it. It's got a city on top. Take that health. There's 2 health refills during the boss, that's one of them. The other one comes up really quick as well, and if you're not expecting it, it's easy to miss. Now, the boss is on kind of a timer anyway, unlike the other bosses, there we go, where once their health is depleted, they just blow up immediately. This one, once I come up top here, I have to wait until I make a full rotation around the fortress first before I can end the fight. So even if I deplete all the boss's health, I still can't finish the boss. So as you can see, the boss has no health, so now I have to wait it out. I have to defend myself. But the cannons are gone, so I don't have to worry about those. And it's mainly because of this fairy orb right here coming up on the next rotation. It's so that you don't miss it. That one right there. It reminds me of Independence Day, the movie. I don't know why, but it does. So now the boss is going to pan down. I can get to its core down at the bottom. 5 shots takes out the core. The last 3 fairies, I'd have to wait for the core to center on the screen, zoom in a little bit, and then the last 3 fairies spawn in. So that's why we don't get the extra fairies at the end, because it takes about an extra 15-20 seconds for them to spawn. The experience that we get from them at this point is not terribly necessary, and I did not get a level up there. That's okay. I would have preferred to be level 10 by the time I came into Act 5, but it's not that big of a deal. I'll get my level going into the final act. So now the kingdom is kind of falling apart, essentially, because I've been gunning things down, just breaking everything in sight. You know, as one does, right? I'm not terribly worried about my combo in the beginning here. It's more just not getting bodied by these giant rocks. The rocks do a lot of damage if you run into them. The big ones you can't do anything about, they're just there to distract you. The little ones, though, they will body you right in the face. And they're worth good points if you blow them up, so they take 2 shots. This guy, you can just work on your hit counter. You can't kill him, so it doesn't matter. He gets bodied by a rock anyway. There we go. Got some spare coins there. Got some health. Fairy orb. Some coinage. This is when I stop worrying about the chalices, too. They're not as important anymore, because I don't really need the score. There's a chalice in those trees, but I'm really bad at aiming at it anyway, so I'd rather keep my combo versus potentially losing it and missing the chalice anyhow. These guys are just for extra points. I don't think any of them actually shoot at you. There's a fairy right at the top there. Alright, into the halls. I got hit, but that's alright. This hallway can be very, very tricky. A lot of it is for keeping your combo is prioritizing which enemies you need to shoot first, knowing which ones actually shoot at you and what order they shoot at you in. Because some enemies will jump out first, but they won't shoot right away. Like that big guy on the left, he never actually swung at me, whereas the big guy on the right jumped out and immediately tried to attack me. So I got my combo back, so that's fine. The hallway here is just for some easy extra points. These little flying enemies, they don't actually attack. It was a nice ascent. Got a lot of points out of that. There's a fairy orb in the far corner back there. Because the Phoenix shot can shoot through enemies, you gotta be careful when you're working on your combo with the big guys, because if you shoot one as it passes across another, you'll shoot the guy behind him too. So when you go to pump 3 shots into the second guy, he only actually has 2 hits left in him and not 3, and you end up taking the extra shot and oops, losing the hit. Last 2 fairies at the boss. The last 3 fairies. We got this guy. I have no idea what this guy's deal is. I know he's annoying. There we go. There's usually no risk of dying on him. I did take a little more damage than usual, but he's not a difficult enemy, so... That should be all my fairies. Yep. Alright, on to the final stage. Shoutouts to Battle Clash. That's a great game. Alright, and I am level 11, which is exactly where I want to be. So, my point tally in the beginning wasn't exactly where I wanted it to be, but coming into the final stage at level 11 is exactly where I want to be. Level 12 would be optimal. That's how I set a new world record yesterday, was I got here with a really good combo, so I ended up here at level 12 instead. But level 11 is pretty standard. It's the most consistent level to get here on. So many enemies moving around. Points no longer matter, because this is the final stage. So we're just trying to keep alive at this point. There is a boss rush here, just like every classic game of the era. What game would be a game without a boss rush, right? Shoutouts to the 90s. They give you health, plenty of health refills right before the boss here anyway. The first boss anyway. This guy moves around a lot. I think he's Belkane's brother, but I could be wrong. I don't 100% remember. So the main antagonist, who you actually don't fight. Gotta be careful not to shoot those orbs. If I do, they'll explode and damage me. Alright, that's a good first boss. Ominous. So if you're going for a 100% run for all the fairies, there are fairies in the middle of the final boss fight. And there's also a chalice hidden in the middle of the final boss fight. And they're a pain to get and not get bodied by the boss. Alright, boss number 2. Want to make sure to shoot his energy shots out of the sky, so I can conserve my health for the final boss. There's a fairy. If I take 1 or 2 hits, it's okay. Playing this boss a little safe right now. Alright. And now the final boss. Then the final boss is another holy gun. This is actually what my character looks like, if we could see her. There's another fairy. I'm not going for it though, because I need to concentrate more on her than getting arbitrary points that I don't need. That's game. 28-14. That's actually not bad. I would have been about 8 seconds off of my old world record had I not set a new one yesterday. And that's Elemental Gearbolt, in a nutshell. And then the credits roll, well, it runs to a cutscene. There's Belkane, he's dead, or dying, and then it shows my character. He's got things to say that nobody cares about. And yeah, that's Elemental Gearbolt, so if you're looking to get into it, please do. I'm literally the only runner, so I would love the competition. But that's going to be it for me. We got Phantasy Star 2 coming up, so that'll be awesome. Thank you, RETROTHON crew, for having me. That's my main character. That's what she looks like. Well, that's what the holy gun who's riding my corpse looks like. So, y'all have a fantastic rest of the event.